Welcome, bro.
Respect, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Long time coming, man.
I know.
We're trying to make this happen for a minute.
Yeah.
But yo,
I mean, we've had some good conversations before, so it's good to document that.
yeah, yo, you know the thing, that's why I kind of wanted to start with you is just, I just feel like we have that connect, right? And it's just so natural. And when we just had conversations that we've had in the past, it's something that I think we can connect on. It's funny, when I was driving home today, I was thinking, I was like, when I think about Charan, what do I even think about? Like, is he a athlete? Is he a trainer? Is he a motivational speaker? An author? So I'm just, it's weird to me. Like, I was like, what does he think of himself as? You know what I mean? Like, people label themselves, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, or whatever.
I'll tell you what I label myself as. I label myself as a work in progress.
There you go.
So it's not up to me to put that title on it, because I see past titles. When I see a person, I'm not going to give them a level of respect based on their job title, how much they make, or what their status is. I'm going to give you respect if you earn it. And
based on your character.
Exactly. So it's the same thing. I'm a work in progress. I don't want to give myself a title. If you see that athlete side of me, then you see me as an athlete.
See, you don't see that about yourself because it's not normal, right? And that's why I believe people are attracted, like why you inspire me personally, is because you don't have that one facet of you. And most people look at their own character in that way. Like they put themselves in a box, like I'm just an engineer or I'm just a doctor or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
and they put themselves in that. So if you introduce yourself like that, you've put yourself in that box.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you don't even realize you're in that box until you leave it.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't think people realize how hard it is to leave that box.
And I think it's like you said, like you have that mentality to say that you don't put yourself in the box in the first place, right? You're not putting, even when you watch you from afar, you couldn't say that this person is just an elite trainer. You have so many facets to your character, right? You have so many things that just that's what makes you that 1%. So I just wanted to commend you on that because it's something that just kind of came to me, man.
Thank you.
I think in the past couple weeks, obviously what's connected us most is this tragedy that just kind of hit us both so hard with Kobe, and I think we were one of the first to reach out to each other in that moment. And I'm kind of glad that we waited till this point to kind of have a real conversation. I think there was too much emotions early on. Man. And so what I was thinking again, because you're from England, born and raised, and basketball probably wasn't something that you guys seen regularly like over here. So how did you kind of get introduced to just basketball as a whole?
So me and my friends just playing 21.
So you guys, it's called 21 there too?
Yeah. We might have different rules, but we were playing 21, and every Sunday NBA would come on. And it was just fascinating, man. This is the Jordan era. This was just coming towards the end of the Jordan era.
So they're probably only playing Jordan games or something like that, not all games.
No, so they weren't even showing games. It was just highlights. Like it was 2 to 3 hours on a Sunday morning.
Just highlights.
So I would wait all week just to watch those highlights, and it was incredible, man. Seeing Sean Kemp just fly in the air.
Okay, so you're Sonics. Yeah.
It was amazing. And then from there, just playing NBA Jam and learning. You know what? It was crazy because it's like you can only be 2 people.
There ain't no better NBA game.
Being able to play with 2 players and then building from there and going out your way to learn who the other players were on the team, and just and then. Just and then I remember my brother, he called home one day on the landline, and he was like, who does Kobe Bryant play for? And I was like, Los Angeles Lakers. And it was so weird.
Just off of the game.
Yeah, like I already knew that, and it was so weird. It was just such a random question. And he came home, little did I know, he had a bet with somebody. And he won that bet based on my answer.
Oh, because you told him what team he plays for.
And as a result, he went and bought me a Bryant jersey. And he bought 2 for himself. It was Detroit Pistons.
Grant Hill, I bet you?
It was Grant Hill, actually, yeah. And himself, he bought a Charlotte Hornets one. I can't remember who the player was, but I remember it was a white Hornets jersey.
Okay.
And
so your first introduction to Kobe was through the highlights you watched?
The highlights, because he was just starting, and it had been only maybe a year he was in the NBA, and just getting his jersey, I just became attached to that jersey. And if you fast forward like 15, like no, it's been 20 years. 20 years. Fast forward 20 years. I still have that jersey. And what blows my mind, I was having the conversation with somebody else, was that in 20 years, I've moved so much. I've lost so much. I've gained so much. I've started afresh so many times.
But that's stuck with you, eh?
I don't understand like that. It's like I've lost, like I said, like I've started afresh and I still have that jersey.
Things are meant to be, man. And I 100% agree. And like that kind of throws me back to like when I first got introduced to Kobe was his first All-Star game. He wasn't even starting yet. And I remember the exact play where I was just like, yo, who is this guy? He's going down the line. He brought the ball up. Kevin Garnett was on him. So he goes behind his back and does like a hook shot from the right. Randomest play. Look, this guy's trying. And he's 18 years old in the first rookie game, not starting. And he's calling out Jordan in that All-Star game.
That's crazy.
Like,
I remember.
Yeah, so he's calling... So I don't know anything about him at this point, and I see that play, and I'm like, my God, this guy has balls on him, yo. And after that was early, I think that in the second quarter. And after that, the dunks, the plays, the just taking possessions, calling Jordan on. Yeah. And he has this personality that just kind of attracts you to him, you know? So that's my first memory of Kobe.
And you know what was like fascinating is that, yeah, I saw him play. Yeah, I saw him do the three-peat. And in my eyes, yeah, he was our Jordan,
our Jordan,
you know,
100%.
and there's no argument about that. But the obsession came when he created Mamba mentality. Yeah. That's when it was like, okay, this guy is more than basketball. Even before he retired, like you can see it.
So like even going, just kind of rewinding, because I want to get into that way deeper, right? Because that's like the meat of it, right? But it's like before he even put a title to it. The beauty of it was before there was a title, because it became easy to put everything in a box. Like we would say that, oh, that's Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
But when you see it before and just see him for who he is, without him saying that I have the Mamba mentality or anything that's about Kobe, is just the way his demeanor was on the court. There was something about him, and I think I don't know if you remember, there was in the playoffs, in the first playoffs that he went to, he missed 4 shots where he shot air balls 4 in a row. And as any normal player would be like, you know, they wouldn't even give him the opportunity again. And this guy just went back and straight to his trainer without feeling any regret and said, oh, I just didn't have my legs.
Yep. It was the legs.
Right? And he's like, I just not used to playing this many games in the season.
Yeah, so he didn't have it. So that's why he just kept throwing bricks, because his legs weren't used to like the 82 games and going more. That's why he was like, I gotta be playoff ready.
That's the crazy thing, that his mentality was so like, I don't give a fuck about what, like I don't have any regret or I don't feel bad. It's just about putting in the work for the next thing to get better and to get better and to get better. And seeing that without kind of putting that title of Mamba mentality, and just seeing him do this and come back every year, and you could see it on his face, right? He was different from every player on the court. Yeah. Just you could see how bad he wanted it. And that's,
you could feel it.
Yeah.
You could feel it, man. And if you go back, and it's like a lot of people didn't watch these games, and if you go back on YouTube now and you see it, it's scary, because he's so ferocious. And when you see that and you compare it to other people, it's almost like he's playing in this day and age, because that's how they play now.
Now they have that more of that.
Yeah. He was doing that in the 90s and the 2000s, and that's why he got the three-peat, right?
And where that attitude might have never really been respected, where people, that's why he was such a person that they always called out, oh, he's a, you know, he's a hog, or he's this or that, because it wasn't what they were used to, right? You had the Jordan-esque to it, but it was different. You know, he brought the Jordan flavor with that Kobe mentality.
Yeah. And he had something to prove. Like he said it many times, like in the beginning, like look who he was playing with, man. He was playing with legends on his team, and he was just seen as the young buck, so he had something to prove.
And isn't that crazy how, like, he could have gone and won 10 rings with Shaq, but he had it so fixated that I have to prove myself without him. Who does that?
Yeah.
Like, you're already in.
That's the 24 Kobe, man. He became a leader.
That's when 24 came alive, or actually, that's when 8 went off, because there was 4 years of after Shaq left where he was just, that's the 81 point game, and just and the 62 in Madison Garden. that brings me to the next one. What's the most memorable moment of playing?
I mean, it's so cliche and easy to say 81 points.
Yeah.
But oh man.
So
To me, you actually won't hear many people say this, but
I bet you it's the same one that I'm gonna say, and I bet you any money.
No, I will say, it's the year that they lost the playoffs against the Detroit Pistons.
Okay, for the first loss.
Yes.
Okay.
Something changed in him. Something happened. Like he did not. I don't think he took that loss well.
No.
But against that team with Billups and Ben Wallace and that team was insane. And
see, those were the Rough Riders.
yeah, and I had never seen a team like that before ever. And when they deserved to win it, and but something happened. Like Kobe was. It's almost like in that moment, in that series, you almost felt like
when he kind of came out.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, I've done everything I've can to get me to this point in my career. What do I need to do to continue that? And he must have done some serious soul searching after that loss.
Oh, and I think that's when he became more in the leadership role with Shaq, and they knew that they had to win with each other, and there was just not a solo thing. But for me, and it's a sad moment, but the most moment that affected me, that changed my life, is the Achilles, when he popped his Achilles. It's that whole season though. That whole season when they signed Dwight Howard, they signed Steve Nash. The expectations were out the roof.
And Steve
Nash. And the first half of the year, they weren't even making the playoffs. They were like, I think it was like 18 games or something out of the 8th spot. And this man, Charan, when I tell you, went on a rant, like literally put the team on his shoulder, played 46 minutes a game. And I remember this like yesterday, every single game. And those are the things. So with my relationship with Kobe, it's like whatever was going on in my life, it's kind of like the same thing that he was going on in the court. And I literally used it on my everyday. Like when his struggle was there, it's like my struggle was there. And when he had the success, I had the success. So it was like literally. Wow. So when those moments happened and he was going through it, it's like I was going through it. And so every game, every shot that he was putting up and he was getting them kind of, and you could see how much it meant to him, right? It's like that same thing that when my life is playing that same role. So that game when the Achilles thing happened, and I'm gonna say it's fucked up to say it almost gave me the same feeling in a different way from when he passed.
Yeah,
that's how hurt I was when I seen it, because Kobe Bryant crying in tears, injured. He's Superman.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen to him, and to see it altered me. And then that was the comeback season, right? So that whole year when the Muse came out and everything, and that's literally the shift in my life happened. Like I went through all that. Like that whole season of comeback was like the same thing, but that was my most memorable time with Kobe.
Unreal. That season, I remember when he went on that rampage out. It was unbelievable.
He did it all.
Yeah, and it's sad to say, but it's like how, if you knew you were gonna pass, you would live your life a certain way.
Oh my God, you're going into a serious thing right now. Yeah.
He didn't know he was gonna pass, but everything he did that seasons before, the whole Mamba mentality, like coming back. Who ruptures an Achilles and comes back on the court just to take their free throws? Little did he know that moment
it's gonna change people's lives.
Will change people's lives and change their mindset. That is a Rocky moment. That's a get up. That's a get up moment, and it's a moment like that where we like need that. Where it's like we're down and out, and we have that moment. Hey, I gotta get up, man.
And for him, it's just natural. It's just natural. What is. It's not like he thought twice about it.
It's not like he thought twice. It's not like he thought, hey, people are gonna look back. It's like I gotta get up and do this.
And the same thing. If you heard that interview, like when so that whole night, I remember it because I stayed up all night. So he went to the thing. The first interviewers came to him. Oh, you did this, and he's like, I know it's gone. This and that, and he's crying, tears. And then then in the morning he puts out, or it was like 4 a.m. he put out a Facebook post, if you remember.
Oh yeah,
and he's
I got it.
venting, like he's pissed, and he's just like, F this, why this, and this. He gets it all off his shoulders. Next morning, his kids ask him, oh, like, whatever. And he looked at them and he's like, okay, daddy's got this. I got it, whatever it is. And that same day, Cole goes, gets his surgery done, and starts rehab. Like that's how quick people would go into pits of their own sorrow for so long to come back out of it, right? Normal human nature. But that's the Mamba mentality. And that's where I feel that's where the world seen Mamba mentality, because now it was documented and he showed it and talked about it, and the muse came out. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you touched on that topic about like him passing and him doing all these things, don't you feel it's like he was on a clock his whole life? Like he unknowingly,
and I see that now. It's funny you say that, because I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was like, if you got a world map right now, and it was light bulbs all over the world map, okay, globe map, whatever, flat, round, doesn't really matter, but there was light bulbs everywhere, okay, and one light bulb represents Kobe, and it switches off. How many now have switched on?
Yo, you want to see this line? Right here, look, read this. So you know when Michael Jordan said, this is why me and you connect, so this is the line I have written here, so it's no BS. You know when Michael Jordan said something died in him in his speech?
Yeah.
So I wrote, so something died in you, right? But something woke up in everybody.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have a friend, and we were talking about this yesterday. She is not a basketball fan, openly, right? It's not that she doesn't like it. It's not a part of her life.
Yeah.
Yet she is so affected by this. This is the thing with Kobe. He transcended the sport, right? You don't need to see him play. You don't need to have watched him play to be affected by it.
Can you imagine me and you, someone who's never met him, never talked to him, right? Have no family relationship with him, can be so to the core affected. And you see it now on the other side of him, right? Like of when after he passed, about the effect on the world, like the actor, you're like, my God, right? Like during his career, like you, like me, and other people, you feel like he's your own in a certain way. Like you just have this connection with him. You're like, this is my dude, and like you kind of keep him in your little world, and that's how you're not talking about it like this. You're not. It's not the tributes and everything. It's your own connect with him. And now the world comes out, and you see the effect. So in a weird way, the reason why I said I feel like he's on a clock, and you rewind his movie of his life, who retires like this? Who says the speeches like that at the end of their career, that it's like their last speech of their life? The way they ended the memorial yesterday with that speech that he did.
But yeah, 100%.
It's like he's saying bye to the world. Who does Dear Basketball, Charan?
I know, and I watched it again, and I was shocked, because I was like, wait a minute, it makes sense now.
It's like
you know how many times I've seen Dear Basketball dozens of times,
but it never hit like that.
But it's like I heard it differently this time. It's almost like I was hearing it, but I wasn't listening. And it hit different, and it made sense that truly, like, you know what? It's unfortunate, and it's sad to say this, but like sometimes that one light bulb it's needed for the bigger picture. For many light bulbs to come on.
I honestly feel at the core of my heart, after going through all the emotions, that I tell you why you feel like that and why I feel like that too. Because we were part of the journey from the get-go, we don't have a regret of missing something. A lot of people jumped on this Kobe whole thing after, right? And now you feel like a void, like, my God, I missed out on this whole life that was. So you might not have that same impact. Now I'm just like, I am so thankful and so blessed that I was hand in hand with him through this whole thing. He gifted us all of this on his journey. For him, and did you see that interview with McGrady where he said Kobe used to say when they were small that he wanted to die young?
Yeah. It was, I saw it on Instagram. I was like, what? And he was crying.
Because it's like, after he retired, right? he started doing all these podcasts out of nowhere, all these interviews, right? It just kept going and going, and he's dropping like, my God, right?
Like I've probably seen every single one, so it's
like,
funny. Like
exactly.
I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's what he was saying was timeless. Like, and it applies to everybody, male, female, whatever your orientation and age is, wherever you are in life, whether you're doing well or not. What he said was very timeless and very neutral
for the world,
for everybody.
And the way, the pace that he was doing it on, going to his last day, was like, it's like, I honestly believe like it was like an internal clock that he knew that I have to give everything that I have left now onto the world. Like the amount he did in the 3 years after he retired, people don't achieve that in a lifetime.
And you know what's crazy is I'm guilty of this too. I was very upset and angry because I felt like he was just getting started. I take that back now, and I'll tell you why. Especially because I've got that closure from the memorial. I can move forward and talk about it.
Yes.
It's not that he was getting started, and he said it. It's not about him anymore. Okay. Yes, he did get it started, but what he started is for other people to continue, especially with the Mamba Academy, with the Punies, with the books, Granite Studios. This can all continue, and look who it's for. Mamba Academy for the females, for the kids, for the Punies,
WNBA,
exactly, for WNBA
all walks
rights,
of life.
The books, Granite Studios can now continue. Like everything can.
He set it all up.
He
set it, even with the NBA alone. Okay, just sitting on basketball. Do you see the performances that are coming out of NBA right now?
Yeah.
With these people putting the Kobe on the things that
everybody's on fire.
The game has become like Kobe's sprinkle on the whole league, where it's serious. Like people are taking every possession, every game, like it's their last, and that whole play thing that has been going on over the last couple of years, where everybody's best buddies and friends, and that kind of competitiveness it's back with a bang, and people are unapologetic about their greatness. Like, I'm gonna put it all on the line and just give it. And you see these performances, and I'm just like,
the numbers. Look at the Raptors blowout the other day. What was like, I don't know, like 37 points, 40 points.
My God, people are dropping 50 like it's nothing now.
Yeah, that's insane. He's changing the game.
He's changed the world. Like that memorial. In my lifetime, I don't remember anybody going out like that. And when you think about someone like that, that's probably the only way they can go out. It's like God's plan. And I actually came to this conclusion very early, but the Gigi thing didn't sit well with me. So my one side of me told me this was meant to be, this was his legacy, he's done it all, he's given us so much, and this was meant to happen on just kind of giving myself closure, giving myself reason. And then I'm like, what's the reason with Gigi? How can that make sense? How can that tragedy make sense? And so Aniti, my wife, told me the first thing was, first of all, you don't know that him leaving, that she would have that same life that she was on. That was a partnership, right? And you might believe that she might have been this whole Mamba person after she's gone, but you might not think that this was because they were together and he needed her just like she needed him on the second part of life. So that kind of gave me a second level closure. But after seeing yesterday, the first 3 speeches were from WNBA people. All that comes from Gigi. So I don't know what your whole perspective is on that.
I mean, it still doesn't sit well with me.
That it's eerie, right?
Yeah, it's eerie, and being a parent myself,
and girl dad right there, man.
Yeah, so it's tough. That one I'm a little at loss for still, but I think I got a little bit of closure with what Vanessa said. She's like, don't think she would have been okay with him not being here.
Yes.
So that the fact that they're together, like it's that coming from her, I was like, okay, all right, you know what? It is what it is.
That's
but
strength.
Her little, the little exposure that we had in her, basketball career or her growth, that alone has inspired people just as much as
Millions.
Kobe's whole 20-year career.
It's
right?
like the same thing, right? It's like it was on a clock, like it was planned. It was planned. Like they just came out like 6 months ago. He did not go to a Lakers game for the first 3 years of retirement. That was his first Lakers game that he went to when he went with Gigi, and they were sitting and he met LeBron that game. That was the first game they went to.
That's crazy.
Think about that. And out of nowhere, like it was, and all those moments are so documented, are such moments in life. All the pictures that you see are from those games. It's like, it's so weird, but it's like.
And you know what? Like, okay, this is one thing as well. Yes, there were other people on the helicopter that passed too, and it's tragic, and that is affecting people too. Of course, people die on an everyday basis, and they're affected too. And I don't mean this with complete like this is with the utmost respect. You know, I can't speak on those people because they weren't in my life, and I didn't know. You know what I mean? But however, those light bulbs that go out, they still inspire people too. Of course. It's just this is on a grander scale. That's all. You know, it doesn't take away from other people's lives. It doesn't take away from the tragedy of, you know, somebody else passing, because, you know, it's very unfortunate. We mourn because we're selfish, because we want them here. That's all mourning is, right? And
absolutely,
it's just this. I felt like, again, like you said, it's almost like the clock was there, man. And that one light bulb gone out, and many have sparked. Because I've seen it in many people I know. Their productivity is out the roof. They're waking up earlier. They're training harder. They're doing things that they wouldn't usually do. You know, and even some of my clients, like I see some of their progress, and I'm like, yo, they're very open in telling me, like, yo, man, like I'm just trying to adopt the Mamba mentality, and that has immortalized that you know what I mean?
It's so unreal to say that, like, you know how you said your friend who doesn't watch basketball? So you've been to my office, right? I have the whole Kobe thing from the day I started there, right? And same thing at home. So people just knew that was my dude. Like, it was everywhere, whatever. So the day it happened, it was like a family member of mine passed, and I just got messages and messages, like people like giving their condolences to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. But then what hit me after was when I went to work, the people that had no effect or don't know him by any means were so shooken up by this, just distraught. And I'm like, and I'm still like I told you, because of my relationship with him, I had a whole different channel. Like, it was so much deeper than him just passing. It wasn't just like, well, this is tragic. I had to find reason, because there's nothing that Kobe does without reason. Like, even this, I'm like, this guy's planned this. This is all
like Jordan said. It's like, oh man, like you're not here, and you're still like,
you know what I mean?
You know.
So, but then when I'm seeing this, and then it started just clicking to me, like that light bulb thing. Kobe, you motherfucker, you just you were like, this is my finale. You know, like, this is my finale. You know, like, even the time it happened, it was so weird. Like, the way the whole weekend broke down. It was the Oscars in Staples Center that night. The night before, LeBron passed Kobe in points. I don't know if you remember this.
I saw.
So
my on his shoe, it's crazy.
So my wife was gone out, and the interviews, like, he was doing his post-game interview, it was on till like 3 a.m, and I'm just watching them, just him talking about Kobe. It just giving me so much happiness because it's Kobe related, this and that. Don't you think that it's so, all these coincidences, it's all about
dates, times, it's just all, I think there is reason, there is purpose behind it, and you have to find the purpose in it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's all individualized. I definitely, it's weird. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I was listening to Kobe, and in my car I was driving. I spent a lot of time driving. And he didn't say anything that sparked something. It just hit me. And it was so scary. I actually started tearing up and had a big smile on my face. And I went to Timmy's. I went to a plaza. I parked outside Timmy's, and I just sat there, and it just hit me. And things started making sense.
And the dots started connecting.
It all started connecting, and I was like, the timing of this is scary. Because I'm like, why now? Why did that thought hit me? And I'm like, it's got to be related in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that's just my way of telling telling myself, you know, it's the reason why he had to pass or whatever. But like, you know, we tell ourselves all sorts of things, but it hit me.
Like a bag of bricks, right? Like
yeah, it's almost like 15 years of questioning, and it hit me. And it clicked. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but like, it just
for yourself, it gave you the comfort and that answer that you were kind of looking for.
Yeah, and then fast forward to just a couple of days ago, I was watching my daughter play, and I took her to a gymnastics gym, and she was doing things that she's never done before. I didn't ask her to do this. Actually, I took her there because I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, she'll be all right. She'll sit on the side, and she started playing. She started jumping around, doing gymnastics, and then I was like, all right, man, I gotta go sign a waiver for her now because she actually wants to play.
Do it, yeah.
And my thought and seeing what she was doing, it aligned, and I was like, I'm like, this is scary now.
I'm so shocked because it's so like this whole concept, like what we're doing right now, right? We're sitting here. This all came from his seed, right? This literally, like, it was. I forgot the guy's name. The one that they're doing that interview and they're sitting on the stage, and that it's that.
I know which one.
You know which one I'm talking about, right? There was like 10 moments in that. I seen it the day of the whole time, and I watched like each one of his like like at work. It's just, you know, how my whole setup is. It's just playing on the background. It just plays on the back.
This exact same
it just plays all the time, and this whole thing. And I've been thinking about this type of stuff for so long, and he said many things that kind of clicked that day. And the biggest kind of moment that I had within that was the same kind of thing that you did, was that blurriness of kind of connecting the dots of all these different concepts that were in my mind just aligned. And it just made it simple. And it all gemmed from his nonchalant answering an interview question. You know, like, he's not like trying to think of something so profound, like I am putting so much behind it. And that's why Kobe was great, because everything that came out of his mouth was, if you remember yesterday, the biggest moment for me in the whole thing, and people didn't really give it, I feel like, the effect. Do you remember when Rob Pelinka came up? And the last thing Kobe did
was text him
about another person's daughter,
his last act, his last thought, like he was in the helicopter texting him, trying to do somebody else a favor and help that person. His last human act on this planet was to help somebody else.
That's goosebumps, man.
That's insane. That's amazing.
But that defines him.
Yeah, he didn't know he was gonna be gone in the next 5 minutes. Like, but that goes to show, like, his nature, his
like how
intentions.
on he was, like how connected he was. Even all these NBA players, right? They've been so like affected, right? Imagine their effect, right? But behind the scenes, he didn't do it in front of cameras. He did all these little workshops, all these things, not for the like just to genuinely help these people. Like, they could pick up the phone and talk detail to him. Like this whole ESPN Plus show, the Detail Show. Who does that? Like, you know, the show about he just breaks down each person's whole play during the playoffs. Again, it's like he's left so much for the world. Even he's written like how many books? I bet you half the population didn't even know about it.
No, they didn't.
They didn't know about it.
That trips me out.
Right?
I have all three, man. Like, it's trippy.
The same. And imagine what gems have been left there for the world, for the kids to come.
Well, you see now, quote that he said, that he wrote at the start of one of the books. It's just a message to his daughters. Like, you know how in the start of a book, the author usually writes something, right? And that quote is now gone viral. You know,
the wizard.
Yeah, it's gone viral now.
Everything now is gonna go viral, right?
Yeah.
That's like now his everything that he's ever said and everything that's ever, and it's like now it's all the dots are connected. Like when you see all these memorials and tributes, the videos that he's made, like they're all in retrospect. It's like that Tupac effect, right? The only other person I could connect with, someone who knew that they had a clock in their life and everything that Tupac. You listen to Tupac songs now, and you're like.
Yeah,
like, how do you know this? And like, why are you saying these things that are relevant in 2020? You passed away in 1996. You know what I mean? Like, you've said stuff that are relevant today.
And that's how I try to live myself, because it's like you have to do things that are timeless. And if anybody's listening to this, and this is my advice, is you can't achieve greatness, you can't be happy with one foot in the door.
No.
It doesn't fucking work that way.
No.
You have to walk through it, and you can't get pushed through it. You have to do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
You need to take control of your life and live it in a way that will, like, I always ask this to myself. I have it written on my mirror, so I see it every single day. How do you want to be remembered?
Your character.
All right. How do you want to be remembered? So you act that way now. So I want to be remembered in a way where, you know, I was caring, I gave, I was respected. So you know what I do? I care about people genuinely. From the bottom of my soul. I give to people even when I don't have. I've fed people when I was hungry.
100%.
You know, and I treat people with respect.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's how I'm going to be remembered.
I can't agree more. I think there was a line. The most selfish thing that you can do is give. That's the most selfish thing you can do, and I live by that motto every day. And I think what you said, right bang on. Greatness doesn't happen from just I'm going to be great or an attitude of being great. It's your everyday being and character of what you leave behind every day, that whenever that time comes, that dot connects and says, oh my God, this person has been doing it when there was nobody looking, right? When there was no lights, there's nothing. He was just that person. Yeah. And those are the only people that can leave a legacy, because they did, like, you can't tell me that Kobe came into the game working. He was more hated throughout his career than loved. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't get it twisted. I know more people that I think a lot of my friends, 90% of them hate Kobe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you respect Kobe, but you hate Kobe.
Yeah.
Right? So, but it's not like he came in leaving that. But because he was genuine to himself, his art, and every person around him, that when you look back, you're like, wow. And now you see the legacy. And
it's funny you say that, because I'm passionate about spoken word. I do see it in my future, like speaking in front of a crowd, speaking to people. Absolutely. It doesn't matter, speaking to kids. And so funny enough, today I overheard two people at the gym talking about me, and I was like, oh, are they calling me? So I went around the corner and I said, do you guys call me? And they were like, no, we said, how the hell does Charan do it? And I was like, do what? They're like, speak so like fluid.
Yeah.
So I took a seat and I was like, guys, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I'm gonna tell everybody else a secret too. It's the same one. So when I speak, the reason it becomes out so fluid, the reason I'm so articulate with my words, is because of practice. The practice that people don't see. Right?
Absolutely.
What people don't realize is, for 2.5, almost 3 years, I've been making videos of me speaking into the camera. Okay, making eye contact with myself, studying, you know, where I go wrong. What words do I say that trigger me to look away? My hand actions. Am I speaking with my body? Am I speaking with my mouth? Am I speaking too loud? What needs to change?
Am I being natural? Am I being genuine?
Yeah, and what words am I saying? What tone of voice am I using? How does my tone of voice make the listener feel? I studied everything about the way I speak. Guess what I did with all that content? I deleted it.
Because it was for you.
It was for me.
Practice.
It was work. I don't have my homework from high school. I don't know where it is, but I still got the lessons from it. The same with these videos. They're all gone. I studied them. I'm going to make a brand new set and I'll delete them. I made one the other day. I watched it. I got the lesson from it
and moved on.
Deleted it. Right?
You're so like, just with this, for example, I came in last night here, sat alone, and just gave myself comfort of doing this, just not for anything else but for myself. But I think what you touched on is, within sports, it's so easy to say practice, right? Because it's part of that culture, right? I go practice and I go play a game. But that reflects in any type of craft that you are doing. It doesn't matter what you do. You have to practice and put real genuine effort behind the scenes to get what you want out of it. It's not gonna, the diamond doesn't come out just on the first day, right?
No.
And I think we put it too much in the limelight, things like sports and things like that. Oh yeah, and that you have to practice. But in anything that you're trying to be good at, it could be writing, it could be a normal job, in anything that you do. You want to be the best cook, you gotta be at home burning 50,000 burgers the wrong way till you get that perfect sear and that perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what the culture has to be overall, and that's the Mamba mentality, is just behind the scenes putting in all ounce of work for it to have the light on the other side.
Indeed, and even going beyond that, beyond just a career in burgers and sports, you want to be a better human being. It takes fucking practice, because you're gonna mess up, you're gonna piss people off, you learn from it, you move on. Every single day is a practice for the next day.
Absolutely.
Right? Being a father, you think I just woke up one day and I knew what to do?
The hardest thing in the world, man.
You gotta, you know, you're gonna have many ups and downs.
It's the journey, man. I always say it, man. It's the journey, it's not the destination.
No,
and
man.
if you're on that journey, it's you don't look back, you keep moving forward, you fall forward, man. Les Brown said, if I'm gonna fall, I'm not gonna fall back, I'm gonna fall forward. Sorry, Denzel Washington said that, right? So
and Nipsey Hussle said the marathon continues. So you gotta and let me build on that. I don't think many people understand what that means. They say it, they don't know.
Yeah.
The marathon continues. So here's the thing, one foot in front of the other. When the marathon ends, you run another one.
It's non-stop.
It's non-stop. I run a 5K today. I'm going to run 6K tomorrow. I'm going to run another 5K the day after that. The marathon continues.
And it's not so literal. It's just everything in life, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always the next thing, and you don't fail. Like, my whole thing, you don't fail, you only learn lessons.
Yes.
Right? So you learn and you move on. You learn and you move on. And I think that's the biggest cultural effect is spending so much time in the past and things that you've done wrong. Everybody's wrong. Everybody has gone, things that they've regret, and nobody's perfect, and nobody is the best day one, right?
No.
Like, I'm gonna look back at this and say, man, my posture sucked, man, my words slurred. It's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Everything, I'm gonna look back and be like, yo, I started, but you have to start.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna look at it, study it, and then go on from there and keep doing it. But if I go and look at it and be like, oh, I suck at this, I don't do this and I don't do that, there's no growth.
No. And I always say that I'm a very example using person. I have good examples. So I always say, the greatest barber in the world had to mess up a few hairs.
Of course.
Right? He had to mess up a couple of fades, and it's the same thing. Like you said, you learn and you move on. The issue people are having, though, is two things. They don't know when they're messing up because they're closed-minded, so they think they know it all.
Back to the thing we were talking about before, being in a box.
Yeah. And just having honest conversations with yourself and admitting, like, hey, I messed up. What's the lesson I can take from this, right? And the whole closed-mindedness, you can't, like, if you're Chinese philosophy, like, if your glass is full, you can't pour in it. So, for example, you know what, Amit, you got a cup of coffee in front of you. It goes cold. You haven't taken a sip. I want to come and pour hot coffee in. It just pours out. You're still left with cold coffee. You have to spill that cold coffee out to get the warm one.
Yeah.
So, for you to learn in life, sometimes you got to unlearn a few things.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be
Shout
afraid.
out humble.
There you go. You got to unlearn a few things and put your pride and ego aside.
Yeah, I think it's Kobe's line right there, man. When he talked about those missing those shots with Utah. If you remember, the first thing he's like, you don't matter that much. Like, get the fuck over it.
Get over
right?
it.
Get over it. Like, what are you like sitting in sorrow for? Like, like you're putting so much weight on it. Like, you really matter that much. Like, move on and figure out the next step. Right? We put so much weight on our mistakes and put so much. We're actually damaging more and wasting more time in that, right? And it's
the time and energy you spend complaining can be done on an after action report, seeing where you went wrong and seeing what you can do about it and taking action, moving on and getting on with it.
Charan, like the way you're saying it and the way we're discussing it, it's not normal, right? I think it's not the common thing, right? I think the more common and more comfort. I think it's more comfortable to sit in regret and kind of look at your failure and kind of step back rather than walking through it, because that's harder.
100%.
It's harder, and like you said, like happiness is hard.
Yeah.
Right? Being in joy is hard. It's not easy, right? Like the
but
word.
But it's a choice.
It's a choice, of course.
But it's a choice because, And you know what? Let's build on that. Like, happiness is hard and growth isn't pretty.
No.
Right? And we've been, not we, but like society has been sold this idea of the end game. They've been sold the idea of the destination,
yeah.
and the result.
That's all that matters.
Not knowing that what you gain in the process is the only thing that matters.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because there is no destination.
Yeah. So, for example, if I was a genie and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a wish of making you in shape, the perfect ideal physique that you want right now," the chances of you losing it are very high because you haven't developed the habits, the mindset, and the knowledge
to be that person.
To be that person,
yeah.
right? And more importantly, you don't deserve it because you haven't
put
earned
the work in.
You have not put the work in.
I think putting the work in is the fun part. That's what gives you the actual joy and the happiness, right? The joy comes from working and accomplishing, not just receiving. Right, there's no value to it, right?
No.
Like money's the biggest thing. Is like, you know, the same thing you just said about you get given a body. An actual stat is there's a huge percentage of people that win the lottery and win millions of dollars and go right back to where they started with such a short time because they are not that person to handle that type of money. They're not equipped and mentally ready for that world, and they just go do whatever they think is right, buy houses, buy cars, and it's done. So you're absolutely right. Everything in life is a journey, and you have to be able to be happy and confident in knowing nothing about something and accepting it. Like, okay, I want to get there and I know nothing. So I'm not going to go to the gym and lift 50-pound weights and pretend that I know something where this is something I remember from you when we first started training, and you're like, we got to start it's all about form, right? Start with 5 pounds, just start with form.
Yeah. And my mentor told me that, he asked me a question when I was young and ignorant, and he said, "Does practice make perfect?" And I was like, "Of course." And he's like, "But what if the practice is wrong?" All right. And he's like, in golf, all right, he's like, you make 1 centimeter change in your form now,
it's different.
And 100 meters down the grass, it's 3-4 meters away from the hole. So it's the small changes that you make now that make the biggest difference down the road, right? So you could be working out, you could be doing all the right things, what you think are the right things now, and down the road it's wrong. So now you got to backtrack. You got to backtrack, right? And if you think about it, when was the last time you saw a condo being built from the top down? Never, because it doesn't exist. Foundation, step by step.
And if you have cracks in that foundation, your whole building is like it's everything that you start from your starting point, doing it the right way, doing it with the right value. And if you do build the right way with patience and gratitude of the journey, then you're building on something that same thing Will Smith says, right? You can't build a wall. It starts with 1 brick at a time, right? And you lay that brick the best that you can ever lay it, and you move on to the next brick.
And just to build on that, I had a conversation with my client the other day, and she was shocked because at what I had to say. She said she wanted to lose 40 pounds. I said to her, I looked her deep in the eyes.
You probably hear that so much.
And I said to her, you have no control of losing 40 pounds. So you have control over losing 1 pound. And if you lose 1 pound 40 times, you'll be at your goal weight.
Absolutely.
So instead of focusing on the wall, focus on the brick.
Absolutely.
1 at a time. When I'm running my marathons and ultra marathons, I'm not thinking of the 50th kilometer or the 60th kilometer. I'm thinking about 1 foot in front of the other. And next thing you know, I'm at the finish line.
Again,
is it gonna hurt? Of course it's gonna hurt. But if I complain every time it hurts, no, think of it this way. Imagine if I complain every single time it hurts, I go back to the start line. I'll never get that marathon finished. Because it's gonna hurt and it's supposed to hurt.
Absolutely. But I think that goes back to, it's not common to think like that, because I think the easier way is to have the sexier picture in your mind, right? So the first day you go to the gym, you're looking at the most physique body. You're like, oh, I want that end goal or whatever destination that you have in your mind. It's the easier, more sexier thing to look at, right? You want to be the best basketball player in the world, rather than saying, okay, I got to look at my right pivot and I got to figure this the best way possible. And I got to look at my form and where my hands position and do this 1,000 times so that my game-winning shot at the end looks sexy. You know what I mean? Like it's the greatness is not sexy at all. It's not like
pretty.
it's not pretty, right? Like the work and the grind is the work and the grind. But if you are able to find the joy in that daily little detail of everything, then you have a happy and joyous life, because there is no, and I always say this, if you become very major goal oriented or destination oriented, you feel that once you get to that point, that all the answers are there. That's it. That's where all my happiness is. And that one day when you get there, which you will, if you're very committed, you're going to get there. It's actually going to bring you back, because you're going to be so lost that saying, I was thinking I'm going to get to this point and I'm going to have all the answers and I got that house and now what? You get more confused.
Yeah.
And
now what?
Now what?
And you know what? This is an amazing piece of advice. So if you are the type of person that sets goals, chances are you're going to set another goal and another goal, and you're going to be that person for life. But if you put your happiness in the hands of a goal, what happens is you will never be happy. Because once you attain that goal, you have another goal, which tells me you're still not happy.
Yeah.
And you're going to live your life
just
chasing goals. But what becomes of that is that you will wake up one day a very bitter person, because you're going to look around and you're going to see many people happy, and you're going to think to yourself, why am I not happy?
And you're always going to be searching for those answers.
Yes. And little do you know that fire, that happiness has been there all along.
And life is so fast that before you know it, you're at the ends of it and you're still on that chase. And it goes with every concept. Like same thing with money. You can't chase money, right? Let money chase you. Like go chase your greatness, chase your passion, and those things follow you. But if you're chasing after something that there's a never ending run to, you go through you don't realize, but you will go through your whole life through that, through those lenses. And it's the lens you choose to wear, right? And like, yeah, it's back to that point, man. It's on the daily journey. Enjoy the process.
And this, also, before you enjoy the process, you need to understand that it is a process. Okay, understand that there is a process, but we know that because we've been there. And how many times have you, on the process, been goal orientated and unhappy because you're not there? You only know that now because you've been there.
Yeah.
So I feel as though now I'm on this kind of like mindset where it's like you have to let people be and understand that they will learn too.
Absolutely.
It's just not their time to learn.
Absolutely. And everybody does have their time.
Yeah.
And mostly in our day and age with platforms like this, where now there's so much engagement and so much vocal things of people talking about mental health and I think it will help the society as a whole understand themselves more, because you will be able to connect with someone that has the same kind of similar journey as yourself. 100%. And we're lucky, right, that we're able to get this. So these are the positives of the whole social media and the whole internet world, that if you look for those holes, you are able to find answers and guide you. I mean, it's not going to give you but it will
guides.
But it will give exactly.
There's many compasses out there. You just have to realize and understand that. Find where you're going and then choose the compass that'll get you there.
Exactly.
If you do not know where you want to go, you're going to keep finding different compasses and be lost at sea. It's that simple. The islands are there. All right, there's so much information out there. There's so many people out there to talk to. There's so much to learn from. And if you can't see that, then unfortunately you're closed-minded.
Yeah. And you just have to decide what's right for you and walk that path unapologetic. And just walk that path, and the answers will be there as you go along. And like you said, if it's not your time, it's not your time. And sometimes the stretch is long, and those walks are long, and sometimes it is dark for a very long time. But it always, always, always gets better if you stick to what you feel is genuine to you, right?
100%.
But it's the patient game. It's not doesn't happen today, man. But man, I'm just so thankful for Kobe being in our life and bringing up conversations and things across the globe like this. And I think that's what kind of connects us, because we're on 100%. That similar journey, man.
And I'll tell you something. I don't know if you know this, but so I'm a huge fan of Mamba mentality. I love that. It means a lot to me, and I always knew that is what separated him from many athletes. So I always said to myself, I know I'm more than just a trainer. I don't want to put myself in the box. This is literally the first thing we spoke about. What can I create? That's my
Mamba mentality.
And if you know me and if you follow me, you know I have warrior wisdom.
Of
Now,
course.
where did warrior wisdom come from? Turn the two W's upside down.
M's.
You got two M's.
M's.
So
Genius.
I took Mamba mentality
and made it your own.
and I flipped it, and I had two W's, and I was like, what can I make from this? And I'm a
Unreal.
warrior. That's who I am. And
you've always repped that.
Always. I've been saying that since warrior wisdom, from before it was even born. And I was like, I want that W to be warrior. And the wisdom just came. And I've been running with warrior wisdom since day one.
Why, dude? That's deep, man.
So not many people know that. So if anybody,
crazy.
like, I don't know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, everybody's jumping on the Kobe bandwagon.
That's the thing, right? And it is a bandwagon, but you know what? Jump on it, man. It's the bandwagon to be on. Because that's the one that will carry, like I have no, like, it's all love. And if you just got onto this because of it, like, you know what? I don't want his death to go in vain. You know, and any person that wasn't aware of Kobe Bryant before and is able to now get the gems that he's given us all his life, I mean, it makes me more happy. That's why he, you know, that's why I kind of put his legacy. And the same thing with LIFE positive, man. It was the same thing. Like, I came up with this concept like
a long time
like
ago.
I think it was like 2011 or something like that when I did it, and I did it literally driving, and it was the same kind of thing where I was like, how can I have something that's beyond me? Like, I don't want it to be attached to me. You know, like Mamba mentality, it's bigger than Kobe Bryant. Warrior wisdom is bigger than Charan.
Yes.
So something that's beyond me. And this thing, I'm telling you, Charan, like a voice in my head that just never left me. Like 7 years later, or no, what am I saying? 7? Like 9 years later, I'm sitting here repping that same concept. It never left me. It's like something that keeps pulling me to say my stories to be told through that. And the whole concept of LIFE positive is love, inspire, fight fear, and you need energy for it, right? So that's my whole,
I love it,
right? So, and everything is so heavy in its own context, right? So the concept of LIFE positive is, I was listening to something on the radio where it was something regarding HIV positive. So somebody said something about someone being diagnosed with HIV positive. So what, literally in 5 seconds, this whole concept came to me was, my purpose is to diagnose as many people with LIFE positive. So
I remember you used the word diagnose people years ago. I clearly remember that, man.
Well, you were one of the only people that time even showed love, and that just speaks to your character from that day. So that's the whole purpose of what I'm doing. And I told you from the get-go was just to have real conversations and talk about things that we bring value to, and just to eat people's brain to see what makes people and what pushes them and what's their why.
Yeah, man.
But man, this was an awesome conversation, brother. I really appreciate it, man.
I would say like the first of many, but
no, I was just gonna say this is happening many times.
We've had many, and we'll continue to have many.
Of course, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you again, man.
Thank you.
And war wisdom, life positive all day. All right, man. Peace.